We are live, and you know what today is. It is Monday, and on Mondays, all roads lead to book club. And so I'm so excited to be here. This book has been a doozy, right? It has been a jab uppercut to all of us, but I am super excited to be here. Always looking forward to what the book is going to have in store for us. So as you're logging on, y'all know what to do. Let me know what city, what state, and or what country you might be logging in from. How cool is it to see how we connect as a community, right? From all over the world. So why is book club so important to me? Well, number one, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And so on Mondays, you don't even need the book. I'm going to ask you right now to grab yourself a notebook and or a pen, right? If you are able, if you're not driving, go grab yourself a notebook and a pen, because you might hear something that you will not remember once you're off of here. All right. And so book club is important to me because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I am here today, every Monday, to fill your cup. Why else is book club important to me? Why? Because you'll never earn more than you learn. And it is very important for us to understand that we will never, ever earn more than we learn. All right. And another thing or reason why book club is so important to me is because leaders are readers. And if we have any desire to elevate in our lives and our businesses and our ministries or whatever we're in, even in your family structure, then we have to know that leaders are readers, right? And we become what we pour into us. All right. And so, like I said, as you're logging on, if this is your first time on book club, let us know that it is your first time, right? Book club is this is going to be very different than your normal book club. And we're excited about how we actually break down the book. We break down the words. We put ourselves in the book, perhaps. And so right while we're getting started, do me a favor, tag and share. Share this on your Facebook. Share this on your Instagram. I should have put this in my Instagram stories too, right? Let me get some people on here and put it up in my Instagram stories. But let's take a moment right now, all of us, to share. Let's all share this live. All right, let's share, tag a few people that you know, or send them the link. You can send them the link directly from the actual, let me find this YouTube link. Here we go. I am going to, let me see. I don't know. I think I can do this and then put this. I can do it like this. I can crop this, go to my stories, right? And put it in my stories with the link. Yes or yes. Yes, let's do that on Instagram. So hello. We got all the Debras are on here. How cool. We got all the Debras. Let me put this in my stories. We got to get people on book club. Let me put the link. Boom. Let's, I got to make sure that, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to make sure that I don't mess up. And I got to erase all of this, all these words that I had in the post, or this won't post on Facebook. Okay, here we go. So I think we good now. And I could just tell them to click the link, right? That we're live. So I need a live YouTube, right? We're live on YouTube. Let me say YouTube live so that we are live now, right? Let me put this right here. And then we're going to put that they can click the link, right? Click the link to join. Click the link. Click the link to join, right? Let's get them on here. Click the link. All right. I know this is a lot, right, y'all? I'm sorry. We got to get it right. We got to get it right. We got to get it right. We got to do it right. So make sure you're tagging and sharing. Now, you also know what to do, right? You know what to put in your hashtags in the comments. I need you to hashtag BookTube, Book Club, Goodreads, and Book Talk. Make sure you hashtag Book Talk, right? Book Talk as well. and you see the hashtags, and let's go ahead and put this in the stories. Y'all, let's get it popping. And I'm going to save it, because then once I save it, I'm able to actually take this on over to Facebook as well. Okay. So let's do it. Let's do it. Everybody. Did y'all get it? You get it? You got it on your, did you get it in your stories? Everybody got it up? All right. I think I'm good over there. And now we're going to try to get this in my Facebook stories that we are live, right? Live at Nina R. Moorer on YouTube, right? We are live. Let's get it here. Okay. And hopefully we can get some people to join us. All right. So we are reading chapter 3. Chapter 3 is your triggers are the guides to your freedom. Your triggers are the guides to your freedom. Here we go. Now that you have begun to identify your self-sabotaging behaviors, you can use them to uncover deeper and more important truths about who you are as a person and what you really want and need out of life. This is an important part of the process, because overcoming our self-defeating habits is not just about knowing what they are or why we engage in them. It is also about better understanding what our inherent needs are, what we really desire, and how we can use this as a pivot point to begin building a life that is aligned with who we really are and what we are here to do. Sounds like we're discovering our purpose, right? And if this is your first time, just so you know, we are reading The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. Our triggers do not actually exist just to show us where we are storing unresolved pain. In fact, they show us something much different, much deeper. Each negative emotion that we experience with a message, one that we do not know yet how to interpret. This is when a single challenge begins to become a chronic issue. Unable to honor and use the guidance of the emotion, we shut the feeling down. We store it in our bodies, and we try to avoid anything that might bring it up again. This is when we become sensitive to the world around us, because there are a lot of repressed feelings mounting. On the surface, it seems as though the thing that triggers our emotional response is the problem, but it is not. The problem is that we don't know what to do with how we feel, and therefore do not have all of the emotional processing skills that we need. When we can identify why something is triggering us, we can use the experience as a catalyst for a release and positive life change. So, how do we interpret the negative emotions, right? Though everyone's particular triggers are unique to them, it helps to better understand the function of some of the feelings that we often condemn. The function of some of the feelings that we often condemn. Some of the emotions that are most strongly connected with self-sabotaging behaviors are actually important for us to better understand. It is not about simply getting over them. It is about listening to what they are trying to tell us about our experience. Anger is a beautiful, transformative emotion. It is mischaracterized by its shadow to resist it. So let's stop right there. The Bible says that you can be angry and sin not. So Jesus was angry. And the Bible says that we can be angry and sin not. So what this is saying is anger is a transformative emotion. The anger is not the problem. It's when it turns into aggression. It is human to get angry at times. Like, hello? Because Jesus got angry. They were selling in the temple. They were selling chicken sandwiches. I'm sorry, fish sandwiches. They were selling fish sandwiches in the temple. So it is healthy to be angry. And anger can also show us important aspects of who we are and what we care about. For example, anger shows us where our boundaries are. Anger also helps us identify what we find to be unjust. Is this helping anybody? Y'all awfully quiet today, right? Ultimately, anger is trying to mobilize us to initiate action. Anger is transformative and it is often the peak state that we reach before we truly change our lives. This is because anger is not intended to be projected onto someone else. So, because we are angry does not give us the right to project it on someone else. You can be angry. It's healthy to be angry. But the problem is when you project your anger onto someone else, right? It's not intended to be projected onto someone else. Rather, it's an influx of motivation that helps us to change what we need to change within our lives. When we do not see it as such, we tend to bury it, not ever resolving the real issue at hand. This is when anger starts to cross over into aggression. When we take that energy out on those around us, as opposed to using it as an impetus to change ourselves. You need to ask yourself, why am I angry? Why did that even bother me? What emotion am I feeling here? Why did that bother me? You need to identify those things that triggered the anger so that you can do what? Change yourself. But what happens is we want to be justified in being angry. And then we want somebody else to pay for us being angry. Now that's witchcraft. That's called control. That's witchcraft. That's called control. Because now some people want to control the entire environment because they mad. So they want everybody else around them to know that they mad. So we slam doors, huff and puff, stump up steps, throw stuff. Okay. Ladies, I'ma just, I got one ouchaloujah. I got one. Thank you, Misha, for being honest. We got one. Okay. Instead of being afraid of anger, we can instead use it to help us see our limits and priorities more clearly. We can also use it to help us make big, important changes both for ourselves and the world around us. Sadness, right? Remember, we're talking about this chapter is about your triggers are the guides to your freedom. When we understand our triggers, we can get free. We understand our triggers. So now let's talk about the trigger of sadness. Sadness is the normal and correct response to the loss of something you love very much, or to the loss of something you very much love. This is an emotion that often comes up in the aftermath of a disappointment. This could be the loss of a relationship, the loss of a job, or just in general, just a general idea of what you thought your life would be. Sadness only becomes problematic when we do not allow ourselves to go through the natural phases of grief. Sadness does not release itself all at once. In fact, we often find that it happens in waves. Sadness happens in waves, some of which strike us at unexpected times. We do not ever need to feel embarrassed or wrong for needing to cry, feel down, or miss what we no longer have. In fact, crying at appropriate times is one of the biggest signs of mental strength. As people who are struggling often find it difficult to release their feelings and be vulnerable. Sadness is another trigger. All right, it's a trigger, and when we learn our trigger, your triggers are your guides to your freedom. All right, so the first one was what, y'all? Anger. The second trigger could be sadness. This third trigger, guilt. Guilt tends to affect us more for what we didn't do rather than what we did. In fact, People who struggle the most with guilt are the people who are not actually guilty of something terrible. People who commit heinous acts tend to not feel much remorse. The fact that you feel bad that you could have done wrong by someone is a good sign in itself. However, guilt requires us to look deeply at what behaviors, if any, we feel badly about, as well as what we may have done that was not in our best interest. If we have treated others unfairly, we must be able to admit, apologize, and correct that behavior. However, if the feeling of guilt is more generalized and not specifically relating to any one incident, we need to look closely at who or what made us always feel as though we were wrong or inconveniencing others. Guilt is often an emotion that we carry from childhood and then project onto current circumstances when we felt as though we were burdens to those around us. Can we get a whoop whoop? That's a good place that we probably should take a deep breath. Guilt is often an emotion that we carry from childhood and then project onto current circumstances when we felt as though we were burdens to those around us. Guilt. Then we've got the trigger of embarrassment. Embarrassment is what we feel when we know that we did not behave in a way that we are proud of. Other people can never make us feel as embarrassed as we make ourselves feel. When we are truly and completely confident that you are doing the best that you can with what you have in front of you and stop feeling embarrassed all the time, sure, others can make you feel bad with their comments or ideas, but even their worst judgments tend to be neutralized when we accept ourselves and feel proud of who we are. Shame is a shadow side of embarrassment. This is when the natural, occasional feeling of being embarrassed turns into a way for us to completely condemn ourselves as human beings and begin to see ourselves as worthless and invalid. When we do not process the feeling of embarrassment, it tends to turn into something far darker. So we've got anger. We've got this is how to interpret negative emotions. We've got anger, sadness, guilt, embarrassment, and then we're going to talk about jealousy. Jealousy is a cover-up emotion. Uh-oh. Jealousy is a cover-up emotion. It presents as anger or judgment when in reality it is sadness and self-dissatisfaction. I'm going to say it one more time. Jealousy is a cover-up emotion. It presents as anger or judgment when in reality it is sadness and self-dissatisfaction. If you want to know what you truly want out of life, look at the people who you are jealous of. No, you may not want exactly what they have, but the feeling that you are experiencing is anger that they are allowing themselves to pursue it while you are not. When we use our jealousy to judge other people's accomplishments, we are siding into its shadow function. When we use our jealousy to show us what we would like to accomplish, we begin to recognize the self-sabotaging behavior and get ready to commit to what we actually desire. You can think of it this way. When we see someone who has something we really want, but we are suppressing our willingness to pursue it, we must also condemn it in them so we can justify our own course of action. Instead of this, we can see what we'd also like to create. When we see someone who has something we really want, but we are suppressing our willingness to pursue it, so we're interpreting negative emotions that are triggers, and they literally are the guides to our freedom. Anger, guilt, anger, sadness, guilt, embarrassment, jealousy, and now resentment. When we resent people, it is often because they did not live up to the expectation of them that we had in our minds. Resentment, in some ways, is like a projected regret. Instead of trying to show us what we should change, it seems to want to tell us what other people should change. It seems, let me say that again. Resentment, in some ways, is like a projected regret. Instead of trying to show us what we should change, it seems to want to tell us what other people should change. However, other people are under no obligation to live up to our ideas of them. In fact, our only problem is that we have an unrealistic expectation that someone was meant to be exactly as we think they should or love us exactly as we imagine that they would. When we are faced with resentment, what we instead must do is reinvent our image of those around us or those who have perceived as having wronged us. Other people are not here to love us perfectly. They are here to teach us lessons to show us how to love them and ourselves better. Uh-oh. That is let me grab my highlighter because that is a whopper of a statement. Other people are not here to love us perfectly. They are here to teach us lessons. They are here to teach us lessons to show us how to love them and ourselves better. So basically, a person is showing you whether to give them a long handled spoon or not. They're not here to love us perfectly. When we release the ideas that we have about who they should be, we can see them for who they are and the role that they are meant to play in our lives. Instead of focusing on how they should change, we can focus instead on what can we learn. You know what's amazing to me? That there are often times and often people who can always pinpoint a bunch of stuff out about a bunch of other people. They always got some. Did you see? Girl, did you see what they had posted? Girl, did you know? Did you? Oh, did you? How do you have time to be worried about what somebody else is doing? And you can see everything that's going on with these other people, but you can't see what's going on with you. You can't figure out how to get yourself from where you are to where you want to go, but you always can tell us what everybody else is doing. They be like, child, did you see you? Child, did you see you got a big head? Child, did you see? Like, what are we doing here? And that is because it is so much easier for you to focus on the flaws of other people so that you don't have to see your own. So we got triggers, how to interpret these negative emotions: anger, sadness, guilt, embarrassment, jealousy, resentment, regret. Now we've got regret. Much like jealousy, regret is also another way that we show ourselves not what we wish we could have done in the past, but what we absolutely need to create going forward. The truth is that most people regret what they did not do more than they regret what they did. This isn't a coincidence. Regret isn't actually trying to just make us feel bad that we didn't live up to our own expectations. It is trying to motivate us to live up to them going forward. It is trying to show us what is absolutely imperative to change in the future and what we really care about experiencing before we die. Didn't travel when you were young? Regret is showing you that you should do it now. Didn't look nice as you wanted to? Regret is showing you that you should try harder. Made choices that didn't reflect your best self? Regret is showing you that you should make different ones now. Didn't love someone while you had them? Regret is showing you that you should appreciate people now. And after regret, we got chronic fear. Chronic fear. When we cannot stop returning to fearful thoughts, it is not always because there is an actual threat in front of us. Often it is because our internal response systems are underdeveloped or sidelined by trauma. When we are in a state of fearful thinking, it doesn't matter what we're afraid of. The thought process follows us from problem to problem. Often there's a metaphor encoded within it. For example, we may be afraid of an ultimate loss of control or some external force coming in and unraveling our progress. Regardless, chronic fearful thinking often comes back down to feeling the need to focus our energy and attention on a potential threat so we can protect ourselves from it. We imagine that if we are worried, anxious, or angry about it, it will remain within our awareness and therefore cannot surprise us. We can retain some control over it. The very act of holding these fearful thoughts within our minds is exactly how the fear is controlling us in the first place. It is derailing our lives right now because we are channeling our energy into something that is outside of our control, as opposed to using it for everything that is actually within our control. The habits, the actions, and the behaviors that would actually move our lives forward. So when you're in fear and chronic fear all the time, you're now derailing your life right now because you're channeling your energy into something that is outside of your control. So why is it that you can't have success in what you're doing? Because you're so busy trying to control the external forces because of your fear of failure, your fear of doing things the way you did them before, your fear of not succeeding, your fear of not getting ahead. And guess what? Do you understand yet that we fail forward? Failure is a part of the process. But regardless of chronic fearful thinking, often comes back down to the feeling of the need to focus our energy and attention on a potential threat. It's derailing your life right now because you're channeling your energy into something that is outside of your control. Everybody type in control in the chat. Type in the word control in the chat. As opposed to using it for everything that is actually within our control. In this sense, what we are afraid of is really a projection of what's already happening. Uh-oh. In this sense, this is what the book says. What we are afraid of is really a projection of what's already happening. So if you're sitting around thinking you're going to fail in business, you're already failing in business. It's already happening. The only way to get over chronic fear is actually to get through it. Instead of trying to battle, resist, and avoid what we cannot control, we can learn to simply shrug and say, and if it happens, it happens. The second we are able to shrug, laugh, or even just throw up our hands and say, whatever it will be fine, we instantly take back all of our power. You know what I've learned, Ruby, Keisha, Robin, Atanya, Deborah, Cheryl, Lacey, Kimberly, Sharon? You know what I've learned? I've learned, because I'm not married to the outcome, I'm married to the process. And I have learned that as long as I know that I've done my very best If I fail, I've done my very best. That just means that maybe I have to do it a different kind of way if I fail. Because if I've done my very best, the only time we get all in our feelings is when you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that we gave it half behind effort. Can I get an amen in them comments? The only time we go running with our tail tucked in between our legs is when we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we barely gave it any effort. We did not give it our all. But if I know I gave it my all and I still failed, are we serious right now? What is there for me to be concerned about? I gave it my very best. The reality of it is we know that you don't most times don't give it your very best. And because you know that you don't give it your very best and you didn't give it your very best, now you want to go run because when you could have just made the decision to give it your. And here's the deal: even if you don't start off the month giving it your very best, you can make a pivot and shift it right now and do your very best. Your very best. Your very best. Amen, everybody. Amen. Right? So whatever, it'll be fine. I gave it my all, my very best. But we all know, could you have stayed up 15 more minutes to get your work done? Could you have made the one more phone call? Could you have done the one more live? Could you have made the one more reel? Could you have? Could you have? Could you have? Let me see. Could you have mustered up a little more energy to do one more rep? Could you have not eaten that fried food or that bad food or going to the fast food restaurant? Could you have not had the second or the third helping? Could you have? Coulda, woulda, shoulda, but you didn't. So now you got to ask yourself, why do I keep opting the easy way out? Why do I keep overeating? Why do I keep gorging? Why do I keep treating my body this bad? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Lord's and he gave his life for it? And you just treat this body any old way? Put any old crap inside of it? Do you not know? What keeps the fire of fear raging is the idea that if we accept what we are afraid of, we are giving in to the worst potential outcome. The truth is that when we stop being afraid of what we cannot control and know instead that nothing can possibly ruin our lives more than when we are ruining them with our negative, distracted, and irrational thinking and focus, we are completely freed. When we are in full acceptance, fear leaves our consciousness and becomes a non-issue. When we're in full acceptance, but when you're lying to the person in the mirror, you're always afraid. But when you're in full acceptance, fear leaves our unconsciousness and becomes a non-issue. It is at this point we realize that it always was. So our internal guidance systems whisper until they scream. The things that are bothering you most right now are not external forces trying to torture you for the sake of it. They are your own mind identifying what in your life can be fixed, changed, and transformed. Type that in the chat. Fixed, changed, and transformed. Because that is what we're here on this earth to do. Evolve, grow. People have got it twisted. I'm 50 now, and we settle and we stop growing. I'm 60 now. I'm gonna stop growing. I'm 70 now. I looked at Jackie Robinson's wife, who is 102 years old. Do y'all know who I'm talking about? Jackie Robinson's wife is 102 years old. Hold on. Let me oh gosh, y'all, I think I messed up. I'm sorry. Cuz I want to see if I can find her. Jackie Robinson's wife is 102 years old. I want y'all to see something. She's 102 years old. I want y'all to see something. I want you to see. That's 102. We are here on this earth. They are your own mind identifying what in your life can be fixed, changed, and transformed. At 102, she looked better than some people in their 50s and 60s because you stopped living. When we are here every day to get fixed, to be fixed, changed, and transformed. If you continue to not take action, if you continue to not take action, the siren will only get louder. And if you never learn to listen to it, you will probably just disassociate from it and then be a victim to it. So, Sonia, what's happening right now, Ms. Dan, is that there are too many people who ignored the siren that was going off, like get fixed, changed, and transformed. And now you're acting like you're a victim. You're acting like you're a victim because you won't take the time to learn. You won't take the time to get fixed, changed, and transformed. So it's much easier now for you to just play victim because the sirens were loud. The sirens were loud. And you chose to ignore them. Now we're going to play victim. You already have the answers. You already know what you're here to do. You are here to create everything that would make you happier than you can imagine. You already have the answers. You already know what to do. You already know what you're here to do, rather. You are here to create everything that would make you happier than you imagine. It is only a matter of quieting your mind enough. Did y'all hear my reel this morning? Quiet the noise of my mind, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. It is only a matter of quieting your mind enough so that you can feel all of the unlimited potential that is begging you to be used. The sirens, you're in, it's like begging you. Deborah McCulley, there are women your age that are begging. They need you to be an example of what could your business and products do for them. But they don't want to hear it from you. They want to see it from you. People listen with their eyes. Write that in the chat. Listen with your eyes. People listen with their eyes. They don't want to hear what you got to say. They're listening with their eyes. Quiet the noise of my mind, Lord. Quiet it up. You're not a failure. You're just choosing to fail and quiet the sirens. Get rid of that victim mentality. But I am telling you, your potential is begging you to use it. Listen with their eyes. They don't listen with their ears. They don't listen with what you say when you send in text messages and emails about what you gonna do. They're listening with their eyes. There's no such thing as self-sabotage because the behaviors that you think are holding you back are really just meeting your needs. It's not a matter of trying to push yourself beyond them. It's a matter of seeing them for what they are and finding better, healthier ways to fulfill them. Though we live in an age where people tend to tell us what we should be entirely self-sufficient and to want or need another person's presence, validation, or company is a sign of self-insufficiency. You don't need validation. You don't need someone else's presence. You don't need that because that is showing a sign of insufficiency. That is not an accurate portrayal of what it means to be human, and it severely overlooks the reality of human nature and connection. Though many people are codependent and lean far too heavily on others to give them a sense of safety and self-leaning too far the other way, where you believe that you don't need anyone or anything and that you can do everything yourself is not healthy either. That is not what the book is saying. What we're saying is you don't have to rely on somebody. Like there's some people that need somebody. How did I sound? How did I sound? How did I do? Oh, how did I look? Oh, they need an accolade. I don't care. That's why I don't even care. I don't even tell Paul to post. Oh, you signed another person. So what? So what? I should sign another person up because it's my goal. So why do I have to be celebrated for a goal that I don't need? That not for me. My rah rah. Let me tell you where I get my rah rah from. That leaderboard I'm on. I don't need that because I know what my goal is. I know what my word was out of my mouth, and I'm looking at it. So I don't need the rah rah. I don't need that. I'm my own cheerleader because I don't have self insufficiency. But I like celebrating other people. So y'all keep sending me stuff because I like celebrating other people. But I don't need it for myself. And if Paul never posted it or never said a word, it would never be having $1,000 days and $1,500 days and $2,500 days sometimes because I'm about it. And I could wake up in the morning or I could even say it right now. You know what? I want to make $500 right now. And I know how to do it. Though many people are codependent and lean far too far, right? So there are two opposite manifestations of the same wounds. There are two opposite. Let me go back a line. Sense of safety and itself leaning too far the other way, where you believe that you don't need anything or anyone or anything, and that you can do it everything yourself is not healthy either. They are two opposite manifestations of the same wounds, which are mistrust and the inability to connect. So, if you're sitting around like, I don't need nobody, I'm going to just do this myself. Just like, or you just always need somebody to validate you. It's the same wound, either mistrust or the inability to connect. You need to feel validated is valid. Okay. You need to feel the presence of another person is valid. You need to feel wanted. That's valid. All of those things are valid, y'all. You need to feel secure. That's valid. Yes. Often the first reason we start neglecting our essential needs is because we think that we are weak for having them. No, we want you to know we have a need to feel validated, to feel the presence of another person is valid, right? To feel wanted and to feel secure. Those are all normal, natural needs. It's when you can't function without it that it's a problem. So there are some people that fall apart when they don't have that. Those are all normal needs. We're human beings. We're not robots. All right. So we only believe this because when we were young, we did have to rely almost entirely on others to meet our essential needs. Eventually, this fails us because another person cannot fulfill us entirely, nor are they responsible for it. No one else is responsible for you feeling validated. No one else is responsible for you feeling good about yourself. No one else is responsible for that. But there are some people that don't do nothing and then they come and do some stuff in spurts and they want you to celebrate, 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 celebrate them. And then they go run off again until they need another rah-rah, another little pickup, and then they go do a little something else again because they're really only in it for the celebration. So eventually this fails us because another person cannot fulfill us entirely, nor are they responsible for it. As we grow up, we learn self sufficiency. In fact, reliance on oneself for the foundation of our basic needs is as important is an important part of a person's development. Emotional intelligence. I'm telling y'all, emotional intelligence is what's going to get us all to the next level. Emotional intelligence. Y'all put that in the chat. Emotional intelligence. In the same way, it is also important that we recognize we cannot meet every single one of our needs on our own. That's the other side. You can't do it all by yourself. Okay. Human beings are hardwired for connection to others and to a group. This is why we exist in subsets like communities and families, and generally feel happiest and most fulfilled when we are doing things that serve the greater good. This is the fundamental and healthy part of who we are, and it is not a sign of weakness. In other cases, you need to feel financially secure. It's healthy. Hello, it's healthy. It is not always a product of you being greedy or intentioned. You need to be validated for the work that you do is healthy. Yes. And it is not always a product of you being vain. Exactly. Right? We just said that. Your need to live in a space in an area that you enjoy being in is healthy. And it is not always a product of you being ungrateful for what you have. But your subconscious mind is trying to communicate with you. Now let me see how far this is when it gets a little bit lengthy. Let's read a little bit more because this is a lengthy chapter. We're not going to get through this chapter all today. All right, let me see. No, we're not. There's a lot left in chapter 3. No, actually not so bad. All right, I'm going to read another page or two. Okay, y'all? Emotional intelligence. So, your subconscious mind is trying to communicate with you. Within our self-sabotaging behaviors lies incredible wisdom. Not only can they tell us how and what we have been traumatized by, they can also show us what we really need. Embedded within each self-sabotaging behavior is actually the key to unlock it if we only can understand it first. These are a few brief examples of how your subconscious mind might be trying to communicate with you through your behaviors. The way you are self-sabotaging, going back to the same person who broke you up, who broke you in a relationship. This could be a platonic friend, but is most commonly a former romantic partner, but you keep going back. What your subconscious mind might want you to know. It could be time to evaluate your childhood relationships. If you find something comforting or appealing about someone who hurts you, there's usually a reason. The way you are self-sabotaging, attracting people who are too broken to commit in a real way. If you are attracting people who are too broken to commit in a real way, what your subconscious mind might want you to know that you are not too broken to find someone who actually wants you. And when you begin to recognize that you are worthy of being committed to, you'll start choosing partners who do just that. The way you are self-sabotaging, feeling unhappy even if nothing is wrong, and really you've gotten everything you've wanted in life, what your subconscious mind might want you to know. that you are probably expecting outside things to make you feel good rather than relying on changing how you think and what you focus on. No outward accomplishment is going to give you a true and lasting sense of inner peace, and your discomfort, despite your accomplishment, is calling your attention to that. So, the way that you are self sabotaging, pushing people away. If you're pushing people away, what your subconscious mind might want you to know. You want people to love and accept you as much that the stress of it all makes you isolate yourself from the pain, effectively creating the reality that you're trying to avoid. Alternatively, needing solitude too often usually means there is a discrepancy between who you pretend to be and who you really are. When you show up to your life more authentically, it becomes easier to have people around you as it requires less effort. Boom. That was heavy, right? The way you are self sabotaging, automatically believing what you think and feel is true. What your subconscious mind might want you to know. You want to worry because it feels comfortable and therefore safer. The more you blindly trust every random thought or feeling that passes through you, the more you are going to be at the whim of what's happening around you. You must learn to steady yourself in clarity's truth and groundedness, and to be able to mentally discern between what is helpful and what is not. The way that you are self sabotaging, eating poorly when you don't want to. What your subconscious mind might want you to know. You're doing too much, and you're not giving yourself enough rest and nourishment. You're being too extreme. This is why your body is requiring that you continue to fuel it. Alternatively, it could be that you are emotionally hungry. And because you are not giving yourself the true experiences you crave, you are satisfying your hunger another way. Well, I'll be jumped. I almost cussed. Well, you ain't hungry. You are emotionally hungry. So you just eat. That used to be me till I started investing time in personal development and reading books. Because what I started realizing is I ain't need nobody else to love me like God can love me and I can love me. Emotionally hungry. You lonely, so you keep eating because you lonely instead of going around, but you won't go around other people. We just read that self-sabotaging. So you're creating the outcome that you say that you don't want. The way you are self-sabotaging, not doing the work you know would help move your career forward. This is the book, Emotional Intelligence, Emotional Intelligence, Emotional Intelligence. I told y'all emotional intelligence is going to move us forward. What your subconscious mind might want you to know when you're not doing the work that you know would help move your career forward. You might not be as clear as you think you are on what you want to be doing. If it isn't flowing, there is a reason. Instead of trying to push through and continually hitting the same wall over and over again, take a step back, which we keep saying. You're not moving forward when you're not clear on your why. Why are you doing it? If I know I need to earn an additional $10,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $3,000 a month, I'm clear on what I want and what my intentions are, and I'm clear on what I need to do to get it. Work. Maybe it's time to regroup, re-strategize. Maybe it's time to be honest with yourself. Or seriously think about why you're trying to take the steps. Why you're trying to take the steps you are. Something needs to change. And it is probably not just your motivation. Fix, change, then transform. The way that you are self-sabotaging by overworking, This is the last one I'm going to read. You do not have to prove your value. You do, however, have to stop running from the discomfort of being alone with your feelings, which is very often the reason that people overwork. There is a difference between being passionately committed to something and feeling obligated to outperform everyone else. One is healthy and the other is not. That's why last night I was like, I've been getting my 30 and 7 done by midnight for the next day. I'm already a day ahead. I ain't doing it tonight because I'm not an overworker. I'm passionate about doing things right. I'm passionate about leading from the front. I'm passionate about it. So we're gonna start right here next week. Let me mark it. We're on page 86. We're taking good strides through this book. And I believe that the Lord already we're really taking good strides through this book. This is what we've done, and this is what we've got left. This is what we've done, and this is what we've got left. Give yourself, let's throw some chat, some flames, some hand claps, and some fire in this chat because we are making great strides through this book. All right, y'all? So we've only got a few pages left in chapter 3. We will get chapter 3 done. And we'll start chapter 4 next week. This is all that's left of chapter 3. We'll get chapter 3 done, and we'll start chapter 4 next week, which is building emotional intelligence. Didn't I tell y'all? Y'all, I did not even realize the next chapter was titled Building Emotional Intelligence. But emotional intelligence is going to take us to the next level. This is fire. This book is fire. This chapter was not as hard on us as the last one. Okay? But we're on page 86. We'll pick up from there next week. You guys, make sure that you're telling a friend. Tell a teammate, tell a business partner, tell a family member to join us on Mondays for book club. This was so good. This book is so good. So good. Right? And then we're going to talk about building emotional intelligence. And I believe I even know the book that we're going to from here. Because we're going to really deal with this emotional intelligence thing so that we can all go to the very next level. All right. So I want you guys to do this, right? Make sure that you enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of the week. Be kind to one another, right? If your day did not start off so great, pivot, adjust, shake it off, right? Book club should have you feeling inspired and ready to go to the next level. You should want to run. You should be energized. And it doesn't matter that we're seeing ourselves and we're finding ourselves. It's okay. Because if we don't expose our flaws, we cannot build character. So be kind to one another. Do a good deed. Pay it forward this week. Buy someone else some coffee. Hold the door for someone. Maybe do a good deed. Send somebody some money for lunch, right? Do something good for someone. And it doesn't have to be their birthday or a holiday or Mother's Day or anything like that. Thank you so much. If any of you sent me birthday wishes, a message, a card, a text, a cash app, whatever the case may have been, some gift cards. I got some gift cards printed out right here on my desk. Thank you all for the love that you showed me. It was super cool. This week is Mother's Day. Let's be good to our moms, right? And make sure that you subscribe to this channel. I think I messed up because I'm supposed to put it up there, right? Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Where am I at? I don't even know banners, right? Make sure you subscribe to this channel right here to make sure that you don't miss a thing. I want you to follow me on Facebook at Nina Rochelle Moorer, right? You can follow me on TikTok as Nina Moorer, the Wellness Queen. And make sure that you are following me, that you have subscribed to my website, ninamoorer.com. I have a gift for you, and I want you to go to that website. And once you subscribe, you'll get an email, and there's going to be a gift for you. There's a journal there for you on my website. All right, you guys. So I want to make sure that you hashtag BookTube, Goodreads, and BookTok. All right, BookTube, Goodreads, and BookTok. All right, you guys. It's been so great being here with you all. I am so happy and grateful that you decided to be here with me on Monday. I'll see you next week.